Walk through any medieval town today, or what's left of one, and you'll find something strange. Wooden beams still hold up houses built over 600 years ago. Church doors still swing on their ancient hinges. Meanwhile, modern fences rot after one rainy season, decks collapse within a decade, and treated lumber turns gray and soft long before its time. So what did medieval builders know that we don't? How did they make their wood last centuries without chemicals, sealants, or power tools? In this video, we'll uncover the forgotten methods that gave medieval timber its near-immortal life, from natural preservation to construction tricks that kept moisture and decay at bay. Because in the Middle Ages, rot wasn't just inconvenient, it was death, and somehow they solved the problem better than we do today. The wood itself. The first secret wasn't a treatment, it was selection. Medieval builders didn't use just any wood that happened to be lying around. They knew every species intimately. Oak for strength, chestnut for resistance to rot, pine for flexibility. Each type had a purpose. Oak was the favorite. Its high tannin content made it naturally resistant to fungi and insects. Chestnut and larch were also prized for their natural oils, which repelled moisture. Builders even knew when to cut the tree. They felled timber in the winter months, when sap was low and water content was minimal, meaning the wood dried cleaner and shrank less over time. They also understood the grain. Medieval carpenters always used heartwood, the dense inner core of a mature tree, rather than the softer sapwood found near the bark. Heartwood was saturated with natural resins that acted like organic preservatives. Once felled, logs weren't rushed into use. They were left to season for years, stacked carefully under cover with air flowing between them. No kilns, no chemicals, just time. As the moisture content dropped slowly, the wood hardened, stabilized, and became almost immune to warping or splitting. Today's lumber industry flips this process. Trees are cut young, dried fast in kilns, and chemically treated to compensate for what's lost in patience. But medieval builders knew nature could do it better, if you gave it time. Their wood wasn't immortal by accident. It was the product of deep respect for the material, and an understanding that strength begins long before the first cut of the saw. The seasoning process. In the medieval world, building with fresh-cut wood was unthinkable. Using unseasoned timber, known as greenwood, was a guarantee of disaster. It warped, split, and rotted within years. So instead of rushing, medieval builders let nature take its course. After felling, logs were stacked under shelter, raised slightly off the ground to prevent contact with soil moisture. Carpenters arranged them in open crisscross patterns, allowing air to circulate freely. The process was called seasoning, and it could take anywhere from 2 to 10 years depending on the size and species of wood. It was slow, painfully slow by modern standards, but it created timber that would last centuries. During this time, the moisture deep inside each log gradually evaporated. As the water left, the cell walls condensed, and natural oils migrated toward the surface, sealing the pores. The wood's internal chemistry literally changed, becoming more stable, less hospitable to fungi, and resistant to insect infestation. In places like England, France, and Scandinavia, timber for major projects, cathedrals, bridges, or manor houses was sometimes harvested decades before construction even began. This wasn't inefficiency, it was planning. The best builders thought generations ahead. By contrast, modern lumber is dried in a matter of days using kilns. Fast drying locks in tension, weakens fibers, and often leaves microcracks invisible to the eye. We trade longevity for speed, a deal medieval craftsmen would never have made. To them, wood wasn't a disposable building material. It was alive. They spoke of it as if it aged like fine wine. The longer it seasoned, the stronger it became. And the proof still stands today, in half-timbered houses and oak roofs that have defied centuries of rain, wind, and time. Natural protection. Medieval builders didn't have paint, polyurethane, or chemical sealants, but their wood didn't need it. They protected timber the old-fashioned way, with natural oils, tar, limewash, and clever design that kept water where it belonged, outside. The first layer of defense came from the wood itself. Oaks and chestnuts were already rich in tannins and resins, but builders often added more. One common method was brushing the timber with linseed oil or animal fat, which soaked deep into the grain and repelled moisture. In coastal regions, shipwrights coated hulls with pine tar, a sticky, waterproof resin that hardened into a barrier against salt and rot. That same technique found its way into the beams and posts of houses, especially those near damp ground. But preservation wasn't just chemical, it was architectural. Medieval builders were obsessed with drainage and airflow. Roofs were steeply pitched so water never lingered. Overhanging eaves kept walls dry, while exposed beams were angled to shed rain instead of absorb it. Even the layout of half-timbered houses helped. The plaster, or wattle and daub between the wood, acted as a breathable shield, allowing moisture to escape rather than get trapped. In wetter regions, timbers were sometimes coated with limewash, a mixture of lime and water that created an alkaline film toxic to mold and fungi. It was cheap, breathable, and naturally disinfectant, a medieval miracle paint. All these small choices added up to one big result: wood that didn't rot, even when it faced centuries of rain and frost. Modern treatments may be faster, but they seal wood too tightly, trapping moisture inside. Medieval builders understood the paradox. Wood lasts longest when it can breathe. Their secret wasn't magic, it was respect. For water, for air, and for the living nature of wood itself. Building design. Even the strongest wood can rot if it's built wrong, and that's where medieval builders truly excelled. They didn't just rely on materials, they relied on design. Everything about a medieval structure, from roof pitch to beam placement, was meant to keep wood dry, ventilated, and alive for centuries. The golden rule was simple: keep water moving. Medieval homes, barns, and churches were built with steep, sloping roofs that shed rain and snow before they could soak in. Deep overhangs kept walls shaded and dry. Gutters, where they existed, weren't just decorative. They diverted water far from the building's base. Even the choice of foundations mattered. Builders raised wooden frames on stone plinths or footings, lifting timber away from damp ground and allowing air to circulate underneath. Inside, medieval builders understood something modern architecture often forgets. Airflow prevents decay. Open layouts, exposed beams, and natural gaps between boards allowed constant ventilation. Instead of sealing every joint airtight, they built structures that breathed with the seasons. Wood expanded and contracted without cracking, and any trapped moisture evaporated naturally. They also oriented buildings with intent. Carpenters knew which side of a house faced prevailing winds and rain, adjusting design details accordingly. In coastal or rainy regions, they used extra layers of lime plaster or pitch to fortify exposed timbers. By combining smart design with smart materials, medieval builders made structures that didn't fight nature. They worked with it. Their buildings swayed with storms, dried after floods, and stood firm through centuries of weather cycles. Modern construction often focuses on sealing out the environment entirely. Medieval design invited it in, carefully controlled, constantly balanced. And that's why, even today, their wood still stands while ours quietly decays. The lost art of patience. If there's one thing that separates medieval wood from modern lumber, it isn't chemistry, it's patience. The builders of the Middle Ages understood that strength couldn't be rushed. From the moment a tree was chosen, the process unfolded over years, sometimes decades. Modern construction, by contrast, runs on deadlines measured in days. Today's lumber is harvested from fast-growing, young trees, full of soft sapwood that lacks the dense heartwood of old forests. It's milled, kiln-dried, chemically treated, and shipped within weeks. The result is uniform, affordable, and efficient, but fragile. Modern planks twist, split, and rot because they were never given the time to harden naturally. Medieval builders worked with slow-grown timber, trees that matured for centuries, drawing minerals deep into their grain. When seasoned slowly, that wood became dense, tight, and almost waterproof. Every stage, from drying to construction, honored time. Beams were stored for years, joined by hand, and left to settle before roofs were added. Nothing was rushed because the builders knew they were crafting homes for their grandchildren's grandchildren. Industrial progress gave us speed, but it cost us resilience. We've replaced time with treatment, adding synthetic coatings, sealants, and preservatives to do what nature once did on its own. But those quick fixes trap moisture and decay from within. The medieval approach was slower, humbler, but wiser. Their secret wasn't better tools, it was patience, respect, and an understanding that durability begins long before the first hammer strikes. In an age obsessed with instant results, their work is a quiet reminder. Sometimes the only real shortcut is time itself. The secret to medieval wood wasn't a hidden formula or lost technology, it was wisdom, a kind of patience and respect for nature that modern building has forgotten. Medieval carpenters didn't fight against the elements, they learned to build in harmony with them. They chose the right trees, seasoned them for years, designed their structures to breathe, and let the earth and air do the rest. Their craft wasn't about speed, it was about permanence. Every beam, every post, every roof was made to endure not just decades, but centuries. They built for legacy, not convenience. Today, our homes are faster, cheaper, and smarter, but rarely built to last. The medieval builders, with nothing but instinct and time, achieved something we can barely imagine: wood that still stands after hundreds of winters. Maybe their real secret wasn't in the timber at all, but in the hands, patience, and humility of the people who shaped it.